In the heart of Africa, nestled between vast savannas and dense forests, lay the vibrant village of Nkiru. Known for its rich traditions and deep cultural practices, Nkiru was governed by the wise King Obesai. Every 30 years, the village held the prestigious Umutevo Hunt to determine the Okabashi, the second-in-command to the king. The Chizoba family had held this title for generations, using their wealth and influence to maintain their dominance. Odian Chizoba, the current heir, was arrogant and ruthless, terrorizing those who opposed him. Amara, a strong-willed young woman, rejected Odian's advances, leading to a series of events where Odian falsely implicated her mother in a theft. To save her mother, Amara reluctantly agreed to marry Odian. Ekene, a quiet but skilled hunter and son of the legendary Udo, vowed to protect Amara and bring justice to the village. Ekene discovered the Chizoba family's dark secret, a hidden slave camp where his father, Udo, had been imprisoned for 30 years. Their stage for a family reunion began, but what does the future hold for them? What troubles lies on the path to claiming the title of Okabashi, saving Amara, and freeing the village from tyranny? After learning the evil that the Chizoba family has done to his father, we must get out of here and the Chizoba's reign of terror must end. Ekene said, his voice filled with resolve. Udo nodded, his expression determined. You are right, my son. We must act quickly and carefully. The guards are many, and the overseers are ruthless. Everyone here is so afraid to even listen to any of my escape plans over the years. But together, we can find a way. They spent the rest of the night planning their escape. Udo shared everything he had learned about the guards' routines and the layout of the camp. They devised a plan to include other prisoners to create chaos and they could escape at that instance. We will give them hope, Ekene, Udo said. Once they see that freedom is possible, they will find the courage to fight. But our only chance of winning this battle is for you to become the Okabashi. The next day, Ekene and Udo were taken to the walking field along with the other prisoners. The air was filled with the sound of labor and the crack of whips as overseers kept a watchful eye on the workers. Ekene and Udo moved quietly among the other prisoners, spreading the word of their plan. Some of the prisoners, including a few skilled hunters who had been tricked into slavery, agreed to join the escape. Those who agreed but are too weak to fight decided to start a fight and escalate it for them to escape. As the sun began to set, Ekene and Udo signaled the start of their escape. The chaos in every prison cell started and a small group of prisoners, including 3 hunters from neighboring villages, went through the tunnels. Before making their move, they stealthily stole weapons from the prison armory, arming themselves with spears, knives, and bows. The rest of the prisoners, gripped by fear, either stayed behind or were captured by the alerted guards. Only Ekene, Udo, and the 3 hunters managed to make it through the tunnels and into the forest. Breathing in the fresh air of freedom, they embraced, knowing their journey was far from over. We must go back to Nkiru and expose the Chizoba family, Ekene said. But first, we need a trophy to secure the title of Okabashi and ensure our victory. One of the hunters spoke up. There have been rumors of a white lion that dwells in the mountains. It has terrorized villages for over 30 years. If we can hunt it, our victory will be assured. The 5 men set off towards the mountains, determined to find and defeat the legendary white lion. The journey was long and arduous, filled with dangers from the wild terrain and fierce creatures. Finally, they reached the lion's territory, marked by clawed trees and scattered bones. As they tracked the beast, they finally spotted it at dawn, a magnificent creature with a coat as white as snow. The lion was enormous, its eyes burning with a fierce intelligence. It roared, the sound echoing through the mountains, a challenge to any who dared face it. The battle was fierce. The lion charged at them with incredible speed and strength. Ekene and his companions used their combined skills, coordinating their movements to outmaneuver the beast. Udo, with his years of experience, directed their efforts, while Ekene and the hunters executed the plan with precision. Ekene struck the first blow with his spear, aiming for the lion's flank. The beast roared in pain but continued its assault. One of the hunters, agile and swift, distracted the lion, giving Ekene and the others a chance to strike. They attacked from all sides, using their spears and arrows to weaken the lion. In a final, desperate move, Ekene leaped onto the lion's back, driving his spear deep into its heart. The lion let out a final roar before collapsing, its body still and lifeless. The men stood in silence, their breaths heavy with exhaustion and relief. "We did it," Udo said, his voice filled with pride. "We have defeated the white lion." Ekene, with his incredible strength and determination, carried the lion as they made their way back to Nkiru, their hearts filled with hope and determination. As they approached the village, the sounds of celebration reached their ears. The Umutevo Hunt was drawing to a close, an audience stood ready to be crowned Okabashi with his lion. But the arrival of Ekene bearing the legendary white lion stopped the celebrations in their tracks. The villagers gasped in awe and wonder. King Obesai stepped forward, his eyes wide with amazement. "What is this?" he asked. Ekene stepped forward, his voice strong and clear. "This is the white lion that has terrorized villages for over 30 years. I have hunted it and brought it here as proof of our victory." The crowd erupted in cheers, their voices filled with admiration and respect. Ekene and Udo stood tall, knowing that their journey was far from over, but that they had taken the first step towards bringing justice to Nkiru. With the title of Okabashi within reach, they prepared to face the final challenge, exposing the Chizoba family's crimes and freeing the village from their tyranny once and for all. Chizoba, standing beside the king, could not hide his disbelief. He stepped forward, his voice dripping with skepticism. "How did you, a lone hunter, manage to defeat such a beast? This is no ordinary feat." Ekene, standing tall and confident, met Ize's gaze. "I was not alone," he began. "I was guided by the spirit and wisdom of my father, Udo, and the strength of 3 skilled hunters who stand by me." At this, murmurs rippled through the crowd. Ize's face paled as Ekene continued. "These men have endured much and carry the truth of your treachery." From amidst the crowd, Udo stepped forward, followed by the 3 hunters. Gasps of recognition and shock echoed through the square. Even Chizoba, known for his iron control, could not mask his astonishment. King Obesai, his curiosity piqued, addressed Udo directly. "Udo, my old friend, where have you been all these years? We thought you lost to the wilds." Udo bowed respectfully before the king. "Your Majesty, I have been in captivity, forced to labor under the Chizoba's cruel rule. These men and I were enslaved, hidden away from the world. We are living proof of their crimes." The crowd erupted in outrage, their anger directed at Chizoba and his family. Udo's voice rose above the din. "For 30 years, we have been subjected to their tyranny, working under harsh conditions. The Chizoba family has grown wealthy off the backs of innocent villagers, trading in human lives. Just then, Amara, who had been with her mother, heard the news of Ekene's arrival and victory. She ran to the village square, her heart pounding with hope and fear. She pushed through the crowd and saw Ekene standing victorious. Tears of relief streamed down her face as she rushed to his side. King Obesai's face darkened with fury. He turned to his Chizoba, his voice cold and authoritative. "His Chizoba, you are under arrest for crimes against your people and the crown. Guards, seize him." But as the king's warriors moved to apprehend Is, a loud cry rang out. The Chizoba family's men, loyal to their master, drew their weapons and charged at the king's guards. Chaos erupted as the village square became a battlefield. Ekene, Udo, and the three hunters joined the fray, fighting to protect the king and the villagers. During the chaos, Udo spotted his Chizoba trying to flee. With a determined shout, he notched an arrow and aimed at Is. Seeing the arrow pointed at him, Is quickly grabbed Odian, standing beside him, and used his son as a shield, positioning him to take the arrow meant for himself. Odian, realizing too late what was happening, was struck by the arrow and fell, mortally wounded, his eyes wide with shock and pain. Isa's face twisted with a mix of triumph and horror as his son collapsed in his arms. Seizing the moment of confusion, Is turned and fled into the forest with his remaining men. The villagers gave chase, but the dense foliage provided cover, and the Chizoba family disappeared into the night. As the battle died down, the villagers began to realize the extent of their victory. The Chizoba family's reign of terror was over. The king's guards rounded up the remaining loyalists, ensuring they would face justice. King Obesai, weary but resolute, approached Ekene and Udo. "Nkiru owes you both a great debt. Today, you have not only revealed the truth but also freed us from a great evil." Amara, standing beside Ekene, looked up at him with admiration and gratitude. "Thank you, Ekene. You saved us all." Ekene nodded, then turned to the king. "Your Majesty, there is more to be done. Amara's mother and many others are still held captive in East Chizoba's compound. They must be freed." The king nodded. "Guards, see to it that everyone held captive in East Chizoba's compound is released immediately." The villagers, filled with gratitude and admiration, cheered for Ekene and Udo. The celebration that followed was one of unprecedented joy. The village drummed and danced, their hearts light with the promise of a new era. Afterward, King Obesai stood on the raised platform, his regal presence commanding respect and admiration. Beside him stood Ekene, the young hero who had not only proven his unmatched bravery but had also brought justice and peace to their land. As the king placed the ceremonial necklace around Ekene's neck, signifying his new title as Okabashi, the crowd erupted in cheers. Ekene, now second only to the king, symbolized the dawn of a new era for Nkiru. But the victory was not complete. With the Chizoba's treachery exposed, there was one final task: to ensure the safety and freedom of all those affected by their greed. King Obesai ordered his loyal warriors, led by Ekene and Udo, back to the hidden slave village. Their mission was clear: to liberate the remaining captives and bring them home. The journey through the dense forest was arduous, but their resolve was unshakable. As they approached the slave camp, the warriors moved with stealth and precision, storming the area and overpowering the remaining guards. Cries of joy and relief echoed through the camp as the slaves realized their nightmare was over. Ekene and Udo personally led the efforts, ensuring that every captive was freed and safe. Back in Nkiru, the freed slaves were welcomed with open arms. Many of the able-bodied men, inspired by Ekene's courage and leadership, swore their loyalty to him and his father, vowing to protect and serve the village. Others, eager to return to their own homes, were given gifts from King Obesai as tokens of goodwill and accompanied by the king's messengers to ensure their safe journey. The village square buzzed with renewed energy as the former slaves were reintegrated into the community. Families reunited, tears of joy were shed, and songs of freedom filled the air. The dismantling of the slave trade marked the beginning of a new chapter, one where justice and equality reigned. As the celebrations continued, Ekene looked around at his people, his friends, his family, his community. He saw not just the faces of those who had suffered but also the faces of those who had triumphed. Nkiru was no longer a village living under the shadow of fear, it was a community united in strength and hope. The villagers rejoiced, knowing that a new era of peace and prosperity had begun. With Ekene as the new Okabashi and the dark legacy of the Chizobas behind them, Nkiru was poised to flourish like never before. And as the celebrations went on late into the night, the stars above bore witness to a village reborn, ready to embrace its bright future. As Nkiru rebuilt itself, a sense of peace and optimism filled the air. Ekene stood outside his home, reflecting on the recent events that had transformed the village and his life. The bravery to confront the Chizoba family and the unexpected reunion with his father, Udo, had brought profound changes. Father and son reconnected, sharing stories and rebuilding their bond. Ekene's thoughts shifted to Amara, whose friendship had blossomed into deep love. The village celebrated their wedding, marking a new era of unity and hope. Standing together, Ekene and Amara shared a moment of peace, looking forward to a brighter future for themselves and Nkiru. With his father by his side and Amara as his partner, Ekene felt ready to lead the village into a prosperous and harmonious era. Their love and the lessons of the past would guide them, ensuring Nkiru's traditions and dreams flourished. Thank you for joining us in the thrilling journey of Ekene, Amara, and the people of Nkiru. Their courage and determination have brought justice and hope to their village. If you enjoyed this story, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you won't miss out on any of our upcoming stories and adventures.